Welcome back to Niche Marketing Monopoly, Million Dollar Business Positioning. I'm Paul Rhines, your host and creator of the program. I want to welcome you back. We are coming near the close of the program here. We've just got a couple of sections left. There is one thing that I wanted to share with you before we did close the program out, and that's the basis of Module 13 here, which is Covert QA Overcoming Objections. And this is a methodology of building into sales videos, webinars, or copy the ability to overcome objections by having them presented as questions from viewers or readers. Now, I'm going to walk you through how this works, and it basically comes down to one simple thing. You're going to present common objections that people might have to your product or service as casual questions. So an example of that would be this. Before we get to the wrap-up, I promised that I would get to some of the questions that people have been posting, and we have some really good ones. So let's start with, so that's the way that you frame this. You're actually supporting your audience further and helping them understand your program, showing interaction. You're giving social proof because people are engaged and involved. And so I might go to Aaron K., who's asking, what's the hardest part of learning about time management? And then I'd be able to address that in a way that I'd overcome an objection that's been presented, like this might be hard to learn. Josh R. from Albuquerque, New Mexico wants to know if someone new to internet marketing can actually make money online. In other words, if somebody new can new to X rather, can Y. Marie B. from Huntington Beach, California said she's wondering when she could expect to be able to see results from the training. So you're doing this as a means of being able to address objections that people have. Now, I'm going to sidetrack for a second here and make an important point, because this is a distinction that you may understand, but you may or may not be aware of. And that is this. When people are watching an online video, they're watching it on their computer screen. They're not face-to-face with you, and so you lose all of the interaction that you would have in a face-to-face selling environment where you would be able to see that there was some apprehension that you'd want to explore. In the context of a sales video, a promotional video, an advertising campaign, you have to, given the space, time, and availability of content to be able to do it, you want to be able to overcome the objections that they're sitting there thinking. That shows that you're connected with them, and framing them as questions is a really great way of doing that. And you have to do this because if you don't address their objections, they're just left hanging with them, and what that results in is doubt. So you're going to present these questions as a reversal of pain points. In other words, things that they want to escape from are fears and frustrations. So, of course, there's an approach to actually doing this. It's not just throwing questions up. You're going to present the questions as a reversal of pain points. That is, things that they want to escape from and their fears and frustrations. So, the question is a generalization of a pain point, fear, etc. It's not the pain point or fear itself. Now, the response that you give to the objection that's being presented as a question addresses the pain point directly and shows why it is actually a benefit. Now, that may be a little bit to take in, so I've actually put together a little matrix here for you that actually helps you understand how this works. So, the pain point is, starting in the upper left-hand corner, I don't want to spend months learning how to X. So the question would be, how fast can I learn to fly? The response would be, the great thing about this is you won't have to spend months learning to fly. You won't have to spend hours. You won't have to spend whatever it is they don't have to do. You can now present it, whatever the upside to that is. Moving to the next pain point on the left-hand side, I don't like reading could be their pain point. And so the question is, how's the material presented? Well, what's great about this is that it's all video. So if you've struggled by trying to understand X by reading in the past, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the way we walk you through this whole process. Now, I'm not saying I don't like reading. I'm not saying the question isn't framed about reading. The question is framed in terms of how is the material presented. I'm addressing that pain point because I may be dealing with people that I know commonly don't like reading. So it's a great way to address the objection, overcome it, and build sales. Next pain point, lower left-hand corner there, is the don't believe it will work for me pain point. In other words, the people are sitting there and they just don't think they will be able to get those results. So the question would become, I have some unique circumstances because I X. Will this work for me? Now, you can make X anything that you want. I have some unique circumstances because I have twins. Will this work for me? I have some unique circumstances because I work on call. Will this work for me? I have some unique circumstances because I go on 3-day shifts and 2 days off. I'm a firefighter. Will this work for me? Whatever it may be, I have some unique circumstances. Will this work for me? Now, unique circumstances could apply to anybody regarding their own lives that's sitting there wondering if it's going to work for them. So I have some unique circumstances. Will this work for me? That's a great question. And yes, it will work for you. And what you're going to discover is that your whatever circumstances will work with X. And it'll actually give you an even greater advantage because of the fact that you have 2 days off in a row to study, for example. Or because you have twins, you'll be able to have more communication between them and get these skills faster. Whatever it may be, that's just how you frame it. So that's overcoming objections by being able to address them as questions and providing the responses that you want for the people that are sitting there with the objections anyway, so you should overcome them. And now you're going to introduce the final close with the final offer with an instruction. So you're going to begin by telling them, well, that's it, folks. We've really enjoyed bringing you this program, but we are bringing it to the point where we're going to wrap up in just a couple of minutes here. And now you're going to address the people who took action. For those of you who took action, I want you to know that there is a video waiting for you. I can actually see activity in there right now with some of you that have come on board. This is social proof. This is interaction. This is excitement. And this is acknowledging those people who already now have given you their money. And makes them feel as a special part of a community that actually took action and are seeing the behind the scenes on all of this right now. There's a lot of value in doing that. The social proof stems, like I mentioned before, a rabbit hole. It provides you with strength that works that way. And after I've addressed the people who took action and are already on board, I'm going to address those people who haven't. But I'm not going to call them people who haven't taken action yet. I'm going to call them those of you who are still on the fence. There's a lot of difference in that, and I'm not going to go into the subtleties of it. I'm guessing at this point, knowing the way that I communicate and understanding the way that I make my points, you understand the difference between telling people that the rest of you that are on the fence as opposed to the rest of you who haven't bought yet. So the presupposition in there is that they could still go one way or the other. And if they're still watching, well, that's the truth. So our final close is, know this: if you're still on the fence and you don't get the value of why you need this, that's the exact reason you need to continue exploring this further. Because those people that are just like you are the ones that always get the most out of this program. So it's utilizing what they're not doing and letting them know that they will be the ones who potentially could get the most benefit from all of it. Another way that I can approach those people who are still on the fence is to tell them, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and if it's working for you, great. If not, we're always here to help. But a year from now, you may be watching something like this and reflecting back and thinking to yourself, wow, if I had just taken action then. Then I can follow up with something like, remember, this is your opportunity to finally. So I'm leaning towards finality there with remember, the opportunity is closing, and the word finally at the end. I'm going to continue with delivering my final close. And if you are that person, well, let me give you the confidence that you need, whatever X may be. Let me give you the skills that are required to be successful with that. Let me give you the insights and strategies that are going to help walk you through that. And then put your trust in me and let me show you how, and then you're going to move on. Another way that you can deliver your final close continuing through that is to let them know, and if you are wavering, let me help you make up your mind right now. There's a lot of people out there, believe it or not, who are on the fence about buying from you at this point. If they've stuck with you through an entire video sales presentation and they're still watching, that means they are on the fence. They haven't made a decision not to buy yet in all likelihood, or they'd have clicked out and gone away and done something more productive with their time. So the fact that they're still there suggests to me that they are on the fence. So I'm going to go through this dialogue of telling them that if they are wavering, and everybody that hasn't bought now is, in my opinion, I'm going to help them make up their mind, because guess what? A lot of people want exactly that. They don't want to have to make up their own mind. However, if you look at the wording on how this is phrased, and I'll walk you through it again, and if you're wavering, let me help you make up your mind right now. What I've actually said in there is make up your mind right now. Do you see that? This is the power of embedded commands, and this is how significant they can become. And once you get somebody to a point where they've stuck with you and you've built that level of rapport with them, you're telling them you're going to help them make up their mind, and you're helping them make up their mind by subliminally, for lack of a better explanation without going into a lot of detail, telling them to make up their mind. That's the way that you're helping them make up their mind. And so you phrased it into this larger picture, which I've taught this to salespeople going back to the 1980s, and it's really a very powerful technique, and that's why I included it, and that's why I spend this level of time elaborating on it. So let me start through it again. And if you're still wavering, let me help you make up your mind right now with this one simple question. What would you do if you knew that? And now we go into perhaps the most powerful sales close I know. And I've again taught this to salespeople for a period spanning going on 40 years now. What would you do if you knew that is something that very, very few marketers have an understanding of in terms of sales closing. So the power of this is, again, it forces them to go inside and answer the questions that I'm going to be hitting them with, or the realities that I'm going to be asking them to consider. They have to go inside their own consciousness and make sense out of what it is that I'm asking them. And so the entire framework for this setup dialogue is, and if you are still wavering, let me help you make up your mind right now with this one simple question. What would you do if you knew that? And you can run in any direction you want to with that. What would you do if you knew that everything you were thinking might be possible with this program was true? What if you woke up tomorrow morning and discovered that that actually was the case? What would you do if you knew that you could finally achieve the success that you want? What would you do if you knew that you could finally find a way to manage your time in a way that allows you to really enjoy a lot more richness and joy throughout your life and more connection with those people that are close to you? What would you do if you knew that? Whatever it is for your product, service, or program. Continuing with this, you can then remind them that if they choose not to decide, they have still made a choice. That's actually borrowed from a Rush song going back to the 1970s, but it is a true statement that's an absolute axiom of sales, which is if they choose not to decide, they've still made a choice. And I always make a point of reminding them of this, because they actually aren't choosing between something and nothing. They're choosing between what they have now and can expect tomorrow and what it is that you have to offer. And if they choose not to decide, they've still made a choice. And that choice is that they choose to continue struggling and facing the same perils, stresses, and frustrations that they have been. Continuing with the final close, I could go and tell them that I just looked into the members area and I see that it is open and I can see people into activity in there, and I just really want to make a special welcome to bring them on board. I'm excited to be able to be looking forward to working with you throughout the course of this program. Again, I'm just paraphrasing. I would continue with, I'm being told that we still have some questions coming in. So I'll take just a few more minutes and answer a few more questions while everybody who just decided to make the choice and sign up right now gets acclimated with the program and goes ahead and gets in there in the members area. Now, what is that doing? It's opening up the opportunity for me to overcome yet more objections. Throughout this process, I've been compelling different people to go ahead and become members of whatever it is that I'm selling, to become buyers of whatever product it is, to purchase whatever service it is that I'm offering. And throughout the course of this, I've been getting more and more of them to buy, assuming that I'm doing my job correctly, and I'm pretty good at doing this. So that's my assumption. And when I brought more and more of those people in through the last series of answering objections, there were still people left over. Still people watching, still people listening to see what I was going to say before I finally close. And so when I come with, I am being told that we still have a few more questions coming in, so I'll just take a few more minutes and answer a few more of those while everybody who just decided to get on board, social proof, goes ahead and gets familiar with the members area and gets a chance to sign in there. So some of the questions we have are, and then you can go into answering another round of objections, which are different than the objections you addressed earlier, which will now, hopefully again, take some of those people that are still sitting on the fence and get them to hit the buy button because you actually answered their objection. So you start to see this entire process now unfold to the point where you are getting people to hit the buy button, and you're doing it throughout the sequence of events, and they come in through the course of the whole program if you're doing this and you've structured it correctly. Now, something that you may have heard in various video sales letters and training promos and promo videos for training programs is I really don't know how many spots are left at this point. Another thing that you may be familiar with is that there are still some fast action bonuses. And now I'm going to slow down just a little bit and bring your attention to what you see on the screen in quotations near the bottom there where my cursor is flashing, which is in quotations. And listen, you're the only one who knows. Now, I put this into this slide because I wanted to include this. This simple statement lies at the root of a very advanced psychological principle that I'm not going to go into great detail about here, but I just want you to understand why it's useful, and I'm going to try and do that really efficiently. You see, a lot of people that are watching your program presentation, reading your copy, experiencing your video presentation, whatever it may be, a lot of them are people which we call mismatchers. And you know these people, they're the type of people that regardless of what you say, they say the opposite. Again, I'm not going to go into a great detail about it here, but there is a principle called matching and mismatching that establishes somebody's psychological framework. And when somebody is a mismatcher, they'll sit through this entire program. They'll listen to everything you've got to say. And at the end, they'll say, well, that may be true, but. And that will be their final analysis of the whole thing because they mismatch. That's how they make sense out of the world. And it actually serves them. They found a way to make that process work for them. So some people, you need to understand, operate at this level. Now, this isn't training that you're going to get in other marketing or copy creation or niche training. This is the stuff of psychological endeavor. However, I want you to understand it because it is of value to put into your dialogue that statement. And listen, you're the only one who knows, and then you can build on that whatever you want. And listen, you're the only one who knows what it'll be like tomorrow if you wake up and you decide this wasn't a good idea. Now, here's the thing. If they're mismatchers, what are they going to do at that point? Well, they're going to mismatch you right back. And when they do that, they're in a position where they're going to take the action that you want them to take because they mismatched themselves into it. And so when you say, listen, you're the only one who knows, whatever that may be, they're going to mismatch that. So you're the only one who knows what you'll lose if you don't do this program. You're the only one who knows that you will be losing out on this program if you don't take action now. It's a soft way of introducing this idea that really goes by unnoticed for the most part, but it's a comment to people that after you've said something like, there are still some fast action bonuses, and listen, you're the only one who knows what you'll lose out on if you don't take action now and finally take control of things and move forward. And that's okay. However, and now I'm going to progress right to the next line on the bottom of the screen, when people reach this point is usually when they find me, or they have a breakthrough, or they take action, take advantage of the training that I'm offering, and really discover how easy it is to have whatever it is that your program is. Now, I want you to understand, we've been delivering the final close here for many slides and many paragraphs of dialogue. What I've included here are pretty much the entire kitchen, the kitchen sink, the rotisserie, and the Showtime rotisserie oven to go along with it. It is the entire package that you can pick from and choose from, and it's all laid out in your workbook so that you can go through and take the pieces and bits that you want to include in your program and build your script out of it. So that's the really cool thing about it. Would you use every single one of these elements in every sales letter, every promotional campaign? Absolutely not. However, and I go into this in a little bit more detail in the final section, I just want you to understand that here in particular, the final close, all of these slides, all of this dialogue, you don't have to deliver them, and it's not necessary that you do. However, now you understand what all of these different things are and how they function to be able to get people to take action. By the way, everything that I'm sharing with you through this delivering the final close, the entire program for that matter, I could go through and show you examples of multi-millionaire marketers online and offline who have utilized these exact same models to create literally multi-million-dollar empires. And I could name them at will, and I could continue for quite some time. All of these elements are present. And once you're familiar with this to the degree that you are, it's going to be hard not to notice them when you're watching people's future promotional campaigns, sales videos, or reading their copy. So I just wanted to make that note that I've thrown the entire kitchen and the kitchen sink here. And with that understanding, you can pick and choose what's appropriate for you and what fits for you and how you want to connect with your audience. So, what's next? Well, we cue the fat lady right now because we're really reaching the end. And at that point, I leave them with a final challenge and a call to action. I am done broadcasting. I am done with my promotional video. I am done with the 3-video series. I am done with the promotional ad copy, whatever it is. When I cue the fat lady, I am going to leave them with a final challenge and a call to action. This is very important, to the point where I would say it's even vital. And that could be any number of things, but typically I am going to have it be related, obviously, to them taking action and becoming members or purchasing my product or whatever it is. And so my final challenge in anything, any copy, any videos, any promotional scripts would be something related to my desired outcome. So, for example, I could leave them with a final challenge and call to action which said, now, I want you to know how important it is to me that you've shared this time with me and that you've given your time to learn the skills that I've been sharing with you. And I hope you recognize how important they are. And I want to leave you with one final challenge, and that's to ask yourself, if you really possessed a complete mastery of all of these understandings and more, if you understood the motivations behind all of these things to where you could craft all of these ideas at will, or to where you could create the time that you wanted, or to where you could create the happy, healthy baby that you desire, I want to challenge you to just examine what it would be like if you knew that everything that you think might be possible by understanding these tools, if you knew that that was actually true, how would that impact your decision to go ahead and buy right now? I just want to leave you with that final challenge to ponder that idea. And I do want you to know that I value your time. And I'm really glad to have been able to present all of the training and materials that I've been able to share with you. And with all of that in mind, I'll just suggest to you that you go ahead and take action now. And I look forward to welcoming you as the newest member of my program, or welcoming you to our growing family of whatever it may be for your product, service, or brand. So that's it for this module. Those were my closing thoughts. And in the next module, I'm going to just share some important final thoughts with you that really didn't have any room to fit anywhere else, and ideas that I wanted to make sure that I covered with you. So review your workbook exercises, review the material in your workbook, again, stitch together how all of this flows when you remove all of the dialogue from in between and see the power of it. I'll reinforce to you again the idea that I am going to explain a little bit more about the picking and choosing of different elements in the closing section. So make sure you're all caught up on your workbook and proceed to the next video, and I will be waiting for you there.